Hi, I'm making this video to show you how you can fix a leak, a common leak for an LG washing machine, front loader like this. I bought this from Best Buy in 2004 and I bought the extended warranty, and it's been a great machine except for one thing, and that is that over those years since I bought it to now, it has sprung a leak 3 times. This is the 3rd time. I'm working on it right now. And the culprit, the thing that was leaking in all the cases, is this part right here, and this is the part I'm replacing. They call this part a bellows, but what this really is just a drain hose for draining the water out of the washing machine. And it's a very strange looking part. It looks kind of like entrails from some alien or something. But what happens is over time, I'm just guessing at this, but this bellows part right here expands and contracts when water goes through. And finally, what happens is that right here, the stress of it opening and closing or expanding and contracting creates a hole. It just wears out. And then all that water is just leaking through that hole right there and dumping out onto your floor. Now, this part you can order from lots of part places, and it's really, really cheap. Here's an example from partsstore.com, and the part here, it says costs only like $11.95, and the part number that you're going to need, and this is true for most of these LG front-loading washers. I'll tell you the model number in a second, but the part number itself to replace is 4738ER1002A. And this will work for most of these LG washing machines, and apparently Zenith is branded an LG machine too, so the part would be good for it as well. Now the machine that I have, its official model number is, this is a Trom, but its model number is WM2277. And then there's 2 more letters after that denoting, I think, the color or whatever, but most of these, like I say, are the same. Now, if you decide to do this on your own and you're thinking, well, I'm just going to download the instructions and the parts list from LG, which you can do, and I did, there's some mistakes that you should be aware of. One of them is, here's the exploded diagram of the washing machine, and here's that part right there. Right there. And you'll notice that the image of this part is wrong. It shows the 2 ends, but there's no big fat cup in the middle like the actual part. So you got the 2 ends and no cup in the middle. So the drawing is incorrect, and it might mislead you thinking, well, that's not the right part, but that is the correct part right there. And actually, I guess, okay. So, but anyway, the other thing that you might get confused by if you download the disassembly instructions is that they want you to take the top off and the front off, and boy, it just looks like a mechanical nightmare. And it would be if you did all that. And on top of that, I didn't want to do it because I had the dryer stacked on top and I didn't want to take the dryer off. It was just too big of a job. But I discovered that in the back of the machine there is an access panel, and I'm going to show you in a few moments how you can get in there and fix that part. Let's look at the part again for a second. Now, what's holding this part in the machine is hose clamps. There's 3 hose clamps. There's a hose clamp on each end here that is the spring type, where you'll have 2 little ears sticking up, and you take a pair of standard pliers and maybe set them into their middle adjustment, and you don't want them so they're adjusted so they're super tight. You want them a little bit open. You can grab those 2 ears and you can squeeze them, and that expands the clamp, and then you can slide it off, and then you can pull the rubber tube off of its the nipple that it's hooked onto. And so you can do that on both ends here. And then this one, the cup here itself, is held on by another type of hose clamp, the type that has a screw mechanism, and so you can either use a nut driver or a Phillips screwdriver, and you can unscrew that. You'll have to hold the other end because the other end is a wing nut, and it'll start turning along with your turning of this. But once you loosen that up, you can get this cup part off as well. And then you put the new one in, and it's a struggle because it's limited access. But if you're somewhat mechanically inclined, or you know somebody who's young teenager type, he could get in there and push those things on and put those clamps on, and you'll be able to do this really easily. So what does it take to get back here? Well, you got to pull it away from the wall, and a very important thing is you want to make sure you unplug it from the wall, because you're going to be, when you take this tube off, you're likely to find that water is going to come out, and you could very likely be, finding yourself in a wet situation, and you don't want that electricity to electrocute you, of course. So you want to make sure it's unplugged, and there are a lot of electrical connections down near where you're working, so that's got to be unplugged. Okay, now to get this panel off, I got a couple of flashlights in there to make it glow inside. You aren't going to have that light, so you need to get a flashlight, screwdriver, pair of pliers. I put a towel down. But anyway, now I'm jammed back in the corner and I can't get the camera back far enough. But basically, there's a panel, and I've got it over here against the wall right now. This panel came off. And to get that panel off, there's just 6 screws, 3 on each side. One of the screws is right there. Screw hole there, screw hole there, screw hole there. And like I said, you take the 6 screws out, 3 on each side, and then this panel is hooked under a lip right there at the top, another lip at the top, and 2 lips identical on the bottom. And the problem is, when you take the 6 screws out, the panel doesn't seem to want to come out. So what you have to do to get the panel out after you take the screws out is grab it here on this side, and grab it here on this side, and bow it out. And when you pull that out, it'll unhook from the top and the bottom. So actually, you have to kind of flex it or bend it to unhook it from these lip type tabs up here. Okay, so once you get that out, then it's not the easiest access. You really want to get that washing machine away from the wall, and so you can get in there. I just pulled the whole thing out with a dryer on top and everything. But anyway, once you get underneath here, and I'm an old man, it's hard for me to get down here, but you'll see right here, there's a white, well, here's the drum, there's the motor, and you'll see a shock absorber right here. See, I can, well anyway, that's the shock absorber right there for the whole drum mechanism. But right here to the right is a white piece with a black hose going into it. And just on the other end of that is the part that we're replacing. There's one of the clamps there. I haven't finished replacing, I've taken it out, I put the new one in, but I haven't put the clamps on yet. But it's right underneath here. I'll try and get a shot of it. It's hard for me to see what I'm shooting at, because if I stick the camera underneath here, I can't see where it's pointed. Hopefully underneath there you'll see the part is sitting under there. And so basically, just take the 2 clamps off the ends, take the screw clamp off the middle, pull the tube off, pull the part off, and put the new one in. And then put the clamps back on. But a lot of these, I searched on the web to find out what was wrong with my washing machine, and they'll tell you this is leaking or that is leaking. And one of the things they said is often leaking is this rubber gasket right here. But since 2004, that's never been a problem for us. And so it has always been this part right here, and it always springs a leak. It's an engineering problem that LG has. So I bought 2 of these, so I have an extra one next time, because it takes a while for it to get delivered. And I got to tell you, the LG parts distribution system is really crummy. Very few parts places locally will have this part, so you have to mail order it. And but basically, it's not too bad of a job. You can do it for less than 20 bucks, and it'll save you a couple hundred for sure. Hope it helps.